監督業を始めて、3年目になるんですけれども、去年はマラガでのファイナル準々決勝でイタリアには負けましたけれどもベスト8というところまで行けて、改めて BJK カップの素晴らしさ楽しさ、本当にファイティングスピリット全てを感じることができた、BJK カップだったんですけれども、ビリーさんにとってはこの国別対抗戦というのはどういったものでしたかっていうことと、お好きだったと思うんですけれども、この BJK ならではの国別対抗戦ならではの、感覚を教えていただけますか？
I think playing for your country and being on a team is the ultimate, absolutely ultimate, because it's about more than yourself. When you win every point, when you win a match, when the team wins, I don't know, it's just a deeper feeling. When I think about all the things I played in, it was by far the most important thing I did in tennis. It means the most to me personally, and I think to some of the other players it does too. But to walk out there, to hear your national anthem, to perform and be with your, the players you're playing against all year long, and all of a sudden we're together from the same country, is so meaningful and so much deeper, and it creates, I think, deeper friendships and relationships, which for after tennis is the most important thing. And so I love playing. I actually played better in team situations, particularly the Billie Jean King Cup, which used to be called Federation Cup. And then in '95 it went to Fed Cup, but now it's the Billie Jean King Cup. So I'm very proud to have my name on it. It means a lot to me.
Yes.
But I also feel responsible as well. But I like it. It's a tremendous feeling to play for your country.
選手としても7回、そしてプレインキャプテンもやり、監督としても3回、勝ってますけれども、一番その中でも思い出深いフェドカップ、フェデレーションカップっていうのはありますか？今はもう BJK カップですけれども、一番思い出深いものっていうのは覚えてますか？どこですか？
Obviously, when I got to play in the first Federation Cup in 1963, I was only 19. I was the second best player on the team. Darlene Hard was the best one, and Carol Caldwell, who eventually was Carol Caldwell Grabner, was our third player. And we won, but we were down match points to Australia, Leslie Turner and Margaret Smith. And so it was so meaningful how we won the match, but more importantly, we won for the USA and for our country. And the whole week I had been screaming and telling them we have to win. So when we look at the cup, that we'll have our name there first.
It meant a lot.
Yeah, it meant a lot.
Yeah.
And then I think beyond that, of course, being a player and the relationship you make with the players is really important. I'm still friends with many of them. And also, it's a much deeper feeling because it was for my country.
今のはじゃあ選手時代の一番、思い出深いというところでしたけれども、キャプテンとしてはまた選手とはまた違った大変さがあると思いますけれども、一番キャプテン時代に気をつけていたことっていうのはどんなことがありますか？
Well, as a captain, first of all, I worked 18 hours a day when I was captain. I was getting no sleep because I always had one more thing I had to worry about. And I wasn't just captain, I was also manager in a way. So I managed the support team as well. Because I've been in business, it was probably easier on me than a lot of people. But my job was always to be in touch with the player. Your team, each player, what they're feeling inside and out is the most important thing.
18 hours.
Yeah. How about you? How many hours do you get?
I also watched quite a lot of matches.
You do?
Yeah, because we can watch through, WTA TV or ITF, streaming.
Do you have to manage the other or not?
Well, not manage, but I always talk a lot with the players and also.
But what about the staff, the people
staff
working?
As well?
Like
yes,
the physiotherapist,
yes,
the managers,
yes.
the other coach if you have a coach.
Yes.
I used to have a meeting the very first day, and introduce everyone, the support staff, and each person would tell the team what they do, so they're very clear. And then I'd have each player speak. I would go over the schedule, And then on Wednesday, I would have the team come together because I wanted them to talk about the matches because they're playing them, I am not. So I had them all talk to each other and how to play who they were going to play. And that's Wednesdays. I mean, I had it down. And then Friday night was a dinner only with the players and coaches. Only, no other people. So, and then we had a dinner on Wednesday actually for the support staff to say thank you to them early, not after the fact, but early on. Thank you for helping. Thank you for supporting us as players. And that was very important too. So it's a constant management, a constant listening, actively listening to every single person because they do matter. Everyone matters. Listening, communication, understanding their side. It doesn't matter what you think, it's what they're feeling it matters. They have to play, they have to perform. The support staff has to work too though. They have to perform.
日本はまだ BJK カップで勝ったことがないんですけれども、この優勝するために必要なこと、ズバリ何ですか?
They need to really help the program at the local level, and then having your ITF tournaments is absolutely vital because that's how kids start that want to be a professional. So it's the infrastructure of your country as well as also telling them they can do it. They can be number one. We can win. But it's got to, it's just not once you tell them their whole lives and when they're young, and you talk about it and have everyone talk about their dreams and it's about relationships being in there for each other. But Japan, there's no reason in the world that Japan shouldn't win. You should win someday, and hopefully that's a dream of yours, but only you know that. But I mean, if I were you, that would be my dream as a captain or as the I would tell each child to have the dream, and why not, and to help each other and to make Japan number one. Go for it. Just think high, don't think low. Think high, go for it.
But actually, when she started 2 years ago, Japan was still not even in the world group.
Yeah, I know.
They were
that.
in the group
I've
Asia.
Noticed.
Yeah. And then, but when she first became captain, the first thing she said is, "We're going to be number one in 4 years."
Did you tell them that?
Yes, well, I say that.
That's what she said.
Did you tell them?
Yes.
What did they say?
I couldn't believe that.
Well, how did they react?
Well, they were like kind of couldn't really believe it yet.
Right, but they have to start.
But we already, experienced the Malaga, and that makes us huge difference.
The only way I thought Team Japan was going to make it to the finals is if we bring the finals to Japan. That's what I told her.
It does help.
It does.
You're right, but you should make that, maybe try to figure out when you think you could, and then have it then
Right.
if you can.
But then she was like, "No, it's going to happen." And then in 2 years, she was already in Malaga.
I know,
Top 8.
Here we go.
Yeah.
It's a beginning, right?
Yeah.
It's like they have to understand it's a stepping stone to the highest.
Yeah.
But you have to do that first. Very rarely you're going to go from down here to winning the whole thing. It's a stepping stone. So you've done one already. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
But you have to get it in the culture. It's got to be part of the culture that you're going to win. No matter what. Just you're going to keep. And if you haven't won, you're going to keep trying. That's the goal. It's fun.
こうやってお話ししていること自体がもう本当に光栄なんですけれども、 WTA があって今のこの賞金があるのはもうビリーさんがいろいろなことをファイトしてきてくれたから今のこの WTA があると思うんですけれども、50年ちょっと経ってますけど、この創設時っていうのは今の状況はこれイメージできてましたか?
In 1968, tennis became a professional sport.
Yes.
When they call it open.
Open era.
Yeah, but I think we should have called it professional, personally.
Yes.
And 68 and 69, I'd gone to the men, and I said, let's do it together, because we can be so much more powerful, not just on the court, but we can be more powerful and make this world a better place off the court as well if we're one. And the men said, get lost. They just kept, I went to different guys, please. They said, no way. So I said, okay. Then we had to figure out what we're going to do. We didn't know what to do, the women. And so in 1970, we talked to Gladys Hellman, Rosie Casals, Nancy Ritchie, and I talked to Gladys Hellman. Actually, Nancy was just there. She ran over, I remember. But Rosie and I, my former husband, Larry King, said, why don't you ask Gladys, because she's the publisher of World Tennis Magazine, and she knows all the CEOs and all the advertisers. And so we did. And she said no at the beginning. Oh, God, please. And finally she said okay. We had one tournament in Houston, Texas, September 23rd, 1970. That was the original 9, and that was the birth of women's professional tennis. And here's the 3 things. That any girl born in this entire world, if she were good enough, she would have a place to compete. Number 2, that we be appreciated for our accomplishments, not only our looks. Number 3, that we be able to make a living playing the sport we loved, tennis. Those are the 3 things. Then go to 1973 when I founded the WTA, because I kept yelling at everybody, we have to have an association. The men won't do it. I want us to be together. I still do, by the way. And 4 days before Wimbledon, June 23rd, 1973, there were over 60 of us at the Gloucester, and we formed the WTA. That was huge because all the top players are together for the first time. In 71 and 72, we actually had 2 tours, and that's not going to work. We have to have all the top players in one place. I kept yelling at all the players, and then what I asked was each player, who do you have influence over? Like, let's say you'd been playing then. I would have said, who are 2 people you can get to this meeting at the Gloucester? And you would have said, maybe I know this one and that one. So that was your job, to go get them to show up. And what we did is, after they said we wanted, they voted yes. Everybody voted yes in the room. But what we did is we had everybody sign in, but then we elected our officers. That was huge. So when everybody left, we actually had an association. My former husband, Larry, had the bylaws ready. See, we were ready before we got there. It's a lot of preparation. And because we had the bylaws, we could elect officers. And the players were upset with me in some ways because the Europeans and the non-Americans said, you don't care about the world, you just care about the US. I said, no, this is a global vision, but we had to start in the US because that's where we could get the money and the promotion. So when we were in this meeting in 73, I said, we have to have 5 continents represented on the board of the WTA. And you could see everybody go, she is thinking about the world. She is thinking about us. We are going to be together. That was a huge moment. I just thought of it the last second. I just said, we have to have it. Everybody said, okay, but they could have said why, but they did not. And I always think, thank you, that they said okay. So we had 5 continents on the board of directors, from the players, starting from day 1. And that's why everybody went away thinking, oh, okay, we're going to be global. We're not just going to be U.S. That was a huge moment, and I was so happy. I'm not sure everybody knew what was going on. I didn't care. You know, you knew that we got rid of the other 2 tours, and now we're going to be 1 tour. And that's thanks to Joseph Coleman. In April of 73, got everyone together, like the USTA, the ITF, it used to be the ILTF and USLTA. And he said to them, we cannot have 2 tours. We have to figure this out. But I knew that he would win because he's CEO of Philip Morris, and they had more money. It's always about money. He'd been very good to tennis. He'd been good to the US Open, to USTA, he'd been very good to them, USLTA. So they all acquiesced and said, okay. We got, Virginia Slims is our sponsor anyway.
Yes.
And that's Philip Morris. And that's how we got to 1 tour. But it was very difficult. In 71 and 72, there were 2 tours. Some of the original 9 we got suspended. It was really a very difficult time in early years because we weren't allowed to play, and actually we weren't allowed to play in some of the team events. It was terrible. But we did it, and now look what we have. So, but we're going to have some other challenges.
Yeah, thank you so much.
There's always going to be challenges, though, for our sport. When a woman can make $4 million in a week,
it's unbelievable.
And it's just beginning.
Yeah.
So, but we've got to make sure that players down lower have more. We got to make sure now we have maternity and all that, which is really important for girls particularly, and for boys really. I mean, for fathers it's important, but for us it's very important.
US オープンは最初から男女が プライズマニーが同額でしたけど、やっぱりファイナル2007年にウィンブルドンが男女同額になって、全てのグランドスラムがプライズマニーで一緒になって、だけれどもここに行くまでには本当長い年月がかかって、もうまさにビリーさんが描いていたところだと思うんですけれども、こういった図が、50年前にも描けていたんですか
In 70, okay, we did not have equal prize money. In 1972, I won the U.S. Open. I made $10,000, and it's Dazi won the men's and got $25,000.
Oh, so it's not equal. When does it
And it
become
wasn't
equal?
And here's what happened. I'm in the press conference in 72 after I'd won, and we've been kind of talking about it a little about equal prize money.
Yeah.
And I said to the media in 72, we're not coming back next year. The women aren't coming back next year unless we get equal money, equal prize money. That was quite a stir, you can imagine, because we had tons of media out there. And I said, we're not coming, I don't think we're going to, the women, the girls, I might have said girls, which I shouldn't, but I said, we're not coming back next year. But what I did after, I'd owned tournaments by now. So I understood the other side, the media, understood sponsorship, I understood how you put a tournament together and how difficult it is. So I said to myself, it's always about money. And so why don't I go and see if I can get a sponsor to make up the difference? So I went and talked to people that we had relationships with already because of owning tournaments. And I said, would anybody, maybe all of you, 3 or 4 of you, put it together to make the difference? It's only $55,000, but that was a lot then.
Yes.
Yeah.
And finally, Bristol Myers came up to me and said, we want to do the whole thing. But they said, and so I went and told Billie Towert, the tournament director, that we had a survey, and Cece Martinez, one of our players, Ismay Emanuel helped pass out the information, that actually people were much more interested in the women getting more money, and that they're real fans of ours as well as the men. But a lot of people think nobody cared about us, but they did with this survey. Billie Talbot did not care so much about that, which I knew he wouldn't, but being a business person, I said, and we have the money to make up the difference. He got all white. He says, what? You got the money? I said, we have the money. So there's no excuses. We're bringing you the difference. And so we want to be equal next year.
I read the history of Japan, tennis and women, but it didn't show.
This is the real history.
Okay.
That is
I lived it.
That's good.
I lived it. You can talk. I was the bearer of bad news when I said we're not coming back. And the media went, ooh, man, because we used to have tons, because we didn't have social media. So we depended so much on the media to tell our story. And they were like my friend. I mean, I knew everyone, and I made sure I knew everyone because I knew how important they were to us, and because they told our story, and they were fantastic. Relationships are everything, with yourself, your loved ones, your family, and with friends, and with business friends. It makes such a difference. It goes so much deeper and much more meaningful.
But then in 2007, Wimbledon was the final Grand Slam to become...
Actually, the French was the final one, but the French came before Wimbledon. So everybody thinks the French was before Wimbledon. No, it's before Wimbledon on the calendar, but Wimbledon was number 3 to say yes. And I told the players, and you guys, and Larry Scott, I feel, is the most important reason. And he was the executive director of the Women's Tennis Association at the time. I think he is the main reason we got equal prize money in 07. And then he talked to me and we said we should get Venus to be our player, out front. And she said yes, which was great. She did an op-ed article in the Washington Post, I think, or Times, I'm not sure, but she was our out front person, but Larry was working behind the scenes and I helped him if he needed it. But he's the most responsible for equal prize money. And in 07, Wimbledon said yes. And I said to everybody, if we get 3, the other's going to go boing. And they did. The French went boing. We're going to do it too. And then the French had the tournament next, and then Wimbledon. But everybody thinks because of the
calendar.
The calendar.
Right.
No, Wimbledon was number 3. The French was number 4. I was a child when I first got into tennis. I hated it being amateur. because we were the best players in the world, and my younger brother and I had always grown up, if you're a pro, you're the best. If you're an amateur, it's a hobby. Well, this was not my hobby. And I used to dream how I'd want tennis to be as a pro sport as a child, but see, I loved history. I read history. I knew 1800s all the way up. And I remember sitting in this cubicle at Wimbledon, like for 2 years in a row, but there was Maria Bueno, who was the queen of tennis throughout the world from Brazil. She was fantastic. And Darlene Hard, and I would sit in a cubicle and just watch them. They'd be at the sink or they'd be getting ready. And I go, why haven't they done something for our sport to change it? We cannot continue to be an amateur. We're making $14 a day, and yet all these people are watching us. And I went nuts. But you have to remember how I grew up. I grew up around Major League Baseball, NFL, football, NBA basketball. And remember, none of this was for girls either, which was really horrible for me, because I wanted to have the same opportunities as my brother, and I didn't. And it really bothered me. I didn't think it was right. Every child, I don't care what gender, I don't care. I want every child to have the dream, whatever, and something that's possible. Now, tennis, it's possible. And they can make a living if they're good enough. You have to be good enough, but that means you're a pro. You have to be the best. And that's was always my dream as a child. And I was always getting a little bit of trouble. I am a disruptor, but I want to be a positive disruptor. There's different kinds of disruptors. Some people just disrupt to disrupt. I want to disrupt to try to help change it to be better. If it's not going to be better, then I don't want to change it. So, and I knew I'd get in trouble. I didn't care. But I decided I'd win less titles as well if I really wanted to do this with my, in my mind and heart. I didn't go to Australia 11 years of my best years. So you didn't see me winning a lot of Australians. I won one French, get it out of the way. Okay, let's get the game right. And yeah, I was playing. Yes, I was, and I loved playing, but I'd run off the court and I'd be working on all this. And the other women were fantastic, like Rosie Casals, Nancy Ritchie, Peaches Barkowitz. We were part of the original 9. Judy Tegart-Dalton, Carrie Melville-Reed, the 2 Australians were suspended. There's a very iconic photo of us 9 holding up.
Yes, I remember.
Well, as soon as we did that, Judy and Carrie were suspended. Don't come home to Australia. You're not going to play here. You're out. But we knew that was going to happen. We're ready. We're willing to do it for the future generations.
Wow.
And so we did it. And thanks to Gladys.
Thank you very much.
Joe Coleman. There's so many people that made this happen.
Yes.
But I did have the vision for what we should do. And I kept pounding on it with the other women, saying, we should be global. We should have a tour. We should make money. We should. And they're going, And then others would go, yeah, why not? We need. So anyway, we are where we are today, but there's going to be other challenges. I think the players always say they want more, which is a mistake, because then they don't support the tournaments.
Yes.
But they say they want, no, that's not, they don't know what they're saying. You guys get more specific with them. But are you going to play all the tournaments? No. So, and if you don't have top players playing tournaments, you don't get the crowds. So
Exactly.
it's very, but I want us to have a rookie school at the WTA where you actually have to show up. You can't do it virtually. Maybe some things virtually, but in general, they have to show up and they get a card whether they can be on the tour or not. And we give them media training, we give them history, we allow them to understand how a tournament works, where the money goes, how much it takes so much effort. Not financially, how do you take care of the sponsor? Go to the sponsor parties. You have to do these things if you're going to be a professional athlete. And I don't think they're getting that message anymore. We used to show up. Being great is about showing up. Showing up is so important. And I don't think players understand that. You got to show up. Like, I could have come here this week and not shown up over here, right?
Oh,
I could have gone to the Dodgers, and I said to Alana, I said, why don't we do something, they're going to be a host, and we love we'd seen her at the captain's dinner, and we always think about that, who the captains that showed up, showing up. I said, why don't we ask, So and I, if we can help? why not? We're here. I mean, I love Japan. I've been coming here for a few years, off and on since 1973, and it's a privilege to be here. And I said, let's just do this. It's teamwork. No, it's teamwork. It helps each other. Also, I want you to be honored because you're one of the greatest players that have ever come out of Japan. Maybe I don't know if you're the best one. I think people should understand that. I appreciate you and appreciate how you've stayed in tennis as a captain for the Billie Jean King Cup, and also how you give back locally and help with the ITF tournaments and all these things you and So have created. I think it's important people know that, and maybe you'll inspire others to want to do that. That's what I'm hoping.
Thank you. 今回は日本がホースト国になって我々ホームでプレーできるんですけれども、やっぱりホームでの応援っていうのは違いますか？
I know that you're going to be the captain of the Japanese team, and you're going to be hosting here in Japan, which is so important. I don't know how the team that you're going to have, if they do better at home or not. I mean, everyone's different, so you know that. But your job, unfortunately, or fortunately, is you have to get them ready and make sure that they understand. And because you're here in Japan and you have the Japanese people here, I think just think about maybe one little child in the stands that sees this. She thinks about, wow, I want to be here someday. And that's what happens when you play at home. You really, really get to the people. They understand what we're trying to do, what you're trying to do with the team, and such pride because you're representing them. And I think it helps the sport of Japan, the people. It helps Japan in every way. You guys can win and play locally because you have the people here to see you. Some teams, it's hard for them because they are at home. They feel more pressure. But instead of saying pressure is a privilege and really absorbing it and liking it, that's the way they can actually play better than normal than when they're away. So it's not that easy though. It's very delicate. But good luck.
Thank you. Thank you
good
so
luck
much.
here
Oh, thank
with
you.
Being the host. It's fantastic.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Arigato.
ありがとうございました。
愛さんが監督を務めるビリー・ジーン・キングカップ日本代表の戦いが4月11、12、13日にここ有明で行われます。愛さん、
はい、
たくさんの応援が欲しいですね。
本当に応援が選手の後押しになりますし、私もたくさんパワーをいただけるので、ぜひたくさんの方に足を運んでいただけたらと思います。
チケットは好評販売中でございます。ぜひこれを機会にですね、有明に足を運んでいただいて日本代表を応援しましょう。